Why are so many young men single and sexless? Oof. Welcome to the English Language Learning Podcast today. That is our topic. That is the headline. I will read it again. I think the topic will be interesting to many people, and also the few people who may or may not listen to this. But again, the title: Why are so many young men single and sexless? Why are so many men? Why are so many young men single and sexless? You can find the reading in the description section. Você pode encontrar a leitura na descrição no canal de YouTube. Sempre vai ficar lá, né? Todos os episódios têm link e também a leitura mesmo colocá-lo, colado na descrição no canal do YouTube. So thanks for coming. One more time, the headline and the focus. Why are so many single? God damn it. Why are so many young men single and sexless? Relationship trends are jeopardizing intimacy skills. Heterosexual men, from elder millennials to boomers, traversed young adulthood at a time when sexual intimacy was a common pathway toward attachment, with women actively seeking a romantic partner. Okay? Men could reliably depend on women's disproportionate investment in emotional and sexual attachment. Traditional masculine gender scripts with a tendency toward avoidance of attachment were suboptimal but functional in this constellation of relationship dynamics. However, the pandemic disrupted the status quo in college-aged daters and accelerated women's reprioritization away from intimacy and towards academic, professional, and financial goals. So women focus less on the intimacy, right? And they started prioritizing, like a lot of people, academics, professional life, and financial goals. They're allowed to become independent adults, basically. And the pandemic accelerated that. Continuing, as young women continue to pursue intimate relationships less intently post-pandemic or after the pandemic, men could have increased their relationship skills to close the effort gap. They could have confronted their relative avoidance and challenged the gender norms that made them so anxious about intimacy. They appear to have done the opposite, turning even further away from real-life relationships and into the virtual world. So, that is all I will read, right? They mentioned some key points. Recent Pew Research as a company, Pew, P-E-W, pesquisa firm, or empresa de pesquisa, indicates that over 60% of young men are currently single. 60% de homem jovem está solteiro. This is in the United States. I think this is in the U.S. I should probably know that for certain, but I don't. Sexual intimacy, intimidade sexual, is at a 30-year low across genders. Ponto mais baixo em 30 anos. Doesn't matter on the gender. All genders, men, women, he, she, it, they, anyone, everyone. Young men must reprioritize real-life relationships and intimacy, attuned or connected or matching the shift or change in the priorities that women have already made. So women have changed their priority according to this study. Women are focused less on, let me get a man, let me get a relationship, let me get a nice cozy, that is the focus of my life right now, is to find a partner. And they were changing, and in the pandemic, hyper changed to financial goals, professional goals, academic goals, fitness goals, whatever, but not intimacy goals. So again, they mentioned some interesting things here about before the pandemic, or traditionally men. There with men and women, there's a difference in the desire for emotional and sexual attachment, right? And they mention that men could reliably depend on women's desire, right? They have a greater desire traditionally for emotional and sexual attachment. And they invested in that, right? That was something that it was a value for them. And for men, it was less of a value. So men could avoid attachment. They could avoid a little bit to some degree, até nível, a grau. They could avoid attachment because it didn't matter if they avoided it. Women wanted it so much more that they were willing to date men who didn't care as much about attachment. But the pandemic changed that. However, the pandemic disrupted that status quo in college or university aged people. And women started focusing less on, let me get a partner, and more on, let me improve myself, my independency, my independence, rather. And the research is basically saying, well, men had kind of a choice. And they're not talking about individuals, they're talking about populations. Men had a choice. You could change the traditional, the trend of evitando attachment, right? You could change that trend and seek more attachment and challenge the values of men traditionally, or you could go the other direction and become less attached to people and reality. I don't mean, the five senses reality, but I mean going and they, I don't mean anything. This is from the study. They're turning into the virtual world and virtual relationships versus real life relationships. So it almost sounds like they're saying men are noticing people aren't so eager or so aggressive in attaching to men. Women are changing because they're being allowed and permitted more freedom and independence, and they're exercising or wielding their independence to be independent. And men kind of went, ooh, I need to do more to get to the same relationship place than before. No, I'm gonna watch porn and play video games. This is what it sounds like. I read the whole article about a week ago. I don't remember if they mentioned porn or video games, pornography or video games, but that would be the virtual world: video games, social media, and pornography. It's not news. It's not news. Young people read their news online. We don't typically, go into virtual news spaces. We just kind of read and see news on our screen as headlines. So I'd imagine that they mean pornography and video games and social media, but you'd have to read the whole. Tem que ler a leitura completa. I just don't remember specifically any mention of pornography or video games. So, coming up in the next segment, we will investigate and review and go over the English. Why are so many young men single and sexless? Why are so many young men single and sexless? Maybe you are a man. Maybe you're a young man. Maybe you're a young single man, soltero. Maybe you're a young single man who's not having sex. Maybe you're a woman. Maybe you're a woman who feels pressure to date people because traditionally that's what you're supposed to do. You're not supposed to be trying to compete, concourir with men for positions in companies. You're not supposed to be doing that. You're supposed to be finding a man to take care of you and start a family, right? Maybe the pandemic, or maybe before the pandemic, you, a woman, were deciding, hey, fuck that. I'm gonna buck the tradition. I'm gonna resist that, and I'm gonna make moves, personal moves, decisions to have more financial independency. I keep saying independency. Don't ever say independency. It's independence. Um, Maybe you are focusing on your academic or professional career, right? And you're deciding that you're not going to place so much investment in emotional and sexual attachment. No, why? Why? Why not have fun and be successful, and then choose family later, like men do, or at least men get to have that choice. So that is what we were reading about. I read a short section from the article called "Why Are So Many Young Men Single and Sexless? Porque tem tanto homem jovem solteiro e sem transar?" I don't know if transar is the socially accepted word, but sex, right? Sexo. Um, Here's a story about how I learned the word transar. Eu tenho agora uma história como eu aprendi a palavra transar, porque não é o mesmo, obviamente, em inglês, to have sex, or to sleep together, or to fuck, if you're going to use maybe the word that people might use at a bar. And in Spanish, it's not the same as transar as well. So I was in my Airbnb when I first arrived in Brazil, in Perdizes. It's a great Airbnb. I had 3 roommates, de Amazônia, de Colômbia, e de São Paulo, de Rio. Giovanni, I don't think you're listening to this, but you might not remember. Talvez ele não vai lembrar também, porque estava bem bêbado. Eu estava na cozinha, bem tarde, sozinho, cozinhando. Entraram o meu companheiro de piso com uma mulher. Ficávamos conversando na cozinha, enquanto eu estava comendo. Eles estavam bebendo ainda, falando, fumando. E depois eu voltei para meu quarto para dormir. E faz talvez 10 minutinhos, eu estou ouvindo coisas na sala, né? E outro cara estava morando num pedacinho acima da sala. É estranho, mas foi um quartinho mais na sala. Ele estava com ela, eu estava tentando dormir, estava fumando, eu fumo maconha. E entrou o meu companheiro Giovanni perguntando se eu queria transar. And I didn't know what the fuck he was talking about. I mean, also, eu estava, depois de fumar maconha, recentemente chegado no Brasil sem falar bem ou nada de português, né? Foi bem difícil entender mesmo. E a partir disso, a palavra que ele estava perguntando e o contexto, né, a circunstância de alguma pessoa que eu estava ouvindo ele transar no outro, na sala da Airbnb, para ouvir ele fazendo isso e depois, no meio disso, sair, descer, entrar no meu quarto perguntando alguma coisa quando eu estava depois de fumar maconha. Foi tão difícil entender o que ele estava perguntando ou pedindo. Foi perguntando ou pedindo. E no fim, ele usou a palavra no fim, sexo. And then And then I connected the dots. I connected the points, the different details, and I was like, no, man, no, thank you. You go ahead. That's all. That's for you. Go ahead. So transar. That's where that word in my vocabulary. That's where I learned it. I also learned the word grávida with my baby mama telling me eu tô grávida. So yeah, words are fun. God damn it. Now we will go into. There's no vocabulary in the headline, right? Single, solteiro, sexless, sem transar, or sem sexo. But in the sub headline, the subtitle, relationship trends are jeopardizing intimacy skills. To jeopardize. This is a strange word with strange letters. J is in John or João. Jeopardizing. Jeopardizing or jeopardize is the infinitive. Arriscar, right? To do something that to pôr em risco. Pôr em risco, arriscar, to put something at risk. To risk. We have a verb in English, to risk something. Relationship trends are risking intimacy skills, are putting at risk intimacy skills. So the trends that people have in populations are meaning that we're becoming less intimate. We have less dom, less habilidade, capabilidade de ficar íntimo com pessoas. Pew Research, Pew, P-E-W, E-W-U usually. Pew is a company. Research is pesquisa. So it's instituição de pesquisa. Indicates. This is from the key points, right? Recent Pew research indicates over 60% of young men are currently single. Indicar, o mesmo português. Basicamente, mesma letras e mesma significativa. Attuned. This is in the key points, those pontos chaves. Young men must reprioritize real life and intimacy. Attuned to the shift. Attuned to the shift would be estar sintonizada or estar sintonizado com algo, right? Connected to a shift. A shift just means a change. A shift, S-H-I-F-T, shift. Elder, first sentence, heterosexual men, from elder or older millennials to boomers. Millennials are, 1984, 1984 até 1994 or 5, eu acho. Traversed young adulthood at a time when sexual intimacy was a common pathway toward attachment with women actively seeking romantic partners. A romantic partner. To traverse, atravessar. Adulthood is just the time when you are adult. So any time in your life after adolescencia, right? After being a teenager. So adulthood, then you have adolescence, and you have childhood when you're a child. A pathway. It's a common pathway toward attachment with women who are actively looking for a romantic partner. A pathway is un caminho, right? People say cigarettes are a pathway to maconha, which is a pathway to cocaína, which is a pathway to it's a way, un caminho. Reliably, men could reliably depend on. Reliable is com confiança. Confiar com segurança. Men could reliably depend on. Os homens podem confiar com segurança on women's desire for emotional and sexual and romantic attachment. Masculine gender scripts. I don't know what this means, but the translation would be papéis de gênero masculinos. And I think they mean like the trend, the traditional way of doing something, right? What does a guy go say to a girl at a bar? What does a guy say at the end of a night when, or do, right? Not just say, but do when you go on a date, you have fun, you go to the woman, the girl, the women's door. What do? Masculine gender script. I don't know if this is true, what this vocabulary means, but there's a pressure for a man to try and kiss a woman at the end of a night if he thinks the date went well, which means if he thinks the woman is interested, there's a pressure, there's a trend that this is what I'm supposed to do. And if I don't do it, someone's going to call me an idiot. A man, one of my man friends is going to say, "You idiot. You should have kissed her. You should have asked her out. You should have held her hand. You should have not called her back." Right? Just a girl you had sex with that you met at a bar. Why are you texting her the next day? Don't do that. So I think that's what that means. To pursue something. To pursue. To pursue. Where is pursue? As young women continue to pursue intimate relationships. Perseguir. 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 To pursue, to close the gap. To close the gap. Men, this is the same sentence. Men could have increased their relationship skills to close the effort gap. To close the effort gap. To close the gap is to fechar lacuna, to decrease the distance between two things. To turn away from something. To turn away. Men appear to have done the opposite, turning even further away from real life relationships and into the virtual world. So to turn away from something is rejeitar, to reject. No, don't want it. It's okay. Don't need it. I'm going that way. That's all the English. That's a huge article. It's uma leitura grandíssima, mas foi bem interessante ler. E tem muitos mais detalhes que eu podia dar agora nesse episódio, né? Porque a pretensão desses episódios não são o conteúdo, né? É o inglês. Então eu não podia usar tudo. So, coming up in the next segment, questions and conversation about sex, about gender, gênero, sexo, trends, traditions, and changes, right? Changes in the future, and how do people connect to other people. Why are so many young men single and sexless? Recent research indicates over 60%, 60% de homem jovem está solteiro. Isso, intimidade sexual fica um ponto baixo, desde 30 anos agora. Sem consideração no gênero, without any gender, men, women, or he, she, it, they. That was our headline. Why are so many young men single and sexless? We read some interesting thoughts and research and ideas about what was going on. Getting a text from my mom that says just one word. I don't know what it means. Cap. I don't know what that means. Did something happen on the news? Let me check the news really quick. I don't know if something terrible has just happened. There's another school shooting today, if that's, so, but that's not what Americans don't text about school shootings anymore because they happen every fucking day or week. Okay, question number 1. Are you a single, sexless man? Why or why not? Se você é homem jovem sem sexo, por que sim? Se você é, por que você acha que você não quer? Ou você quer e você não entende como conseguir? Ou não? Que você está transando, você está ativa nessa departamento da vida. Um, I am a single man, but I have a complicated life because I'm a parent. I am sexless, yes. Maybe that's too much information. But why? Complicated. Complicated. It's not so different from what this article means, but I'm not a woman, so the change is not from me, right? I'm not so invested in finding romantic attachment right now. I have relationship attachment, but romantically, no, not right now, no. Number two, what do you think about when you hear or read a research institution? The words, the idea, the concept, a research institution. O que você acha? O que você pensa quando você ouvir ou ler uma instituição de pesquisa? What are some things that you think about when you hear or read those words? A research institution. Do you think about? Do you have confidence? Do you think about elections? Do you think about bullshit? No, don't believe it. Do you think about? Are you confused? Like como eles conseguir fazer conclusões sobre a população sem perguntar cada individual, né? So what do you think about when you hear instituição de pesquisa or a research institution? Do you have good associations or bad associations? What was your high school experience like? Como foi a experiência no colégio para você? What was your high school experience like? Was it full of intimate relationships? Was it with no intimate relationships? Was it gender-based relationships? Like you had a big group of friends, but they were all guys because you're a guy. Did you have a big group of friends, but they were all girls because you are a girl? Did you have a mixed group of friends? Did you did you have frequent sexual relationships with people? Did you never have that type of sexual relationship? Did you have romantic, intimate sexual relationships or never? So what was your and you can talk about other things too, sports and other avenues, other um, themes in high school life. So, but what was your high school experience like? Mine was full of big groups of friends with small subgroups, but usually just big groups of friends. Each of them, each subgroup had different trends, right? I did not drink alcohol in high school. I did not smoke weed or maconha in high school. A lot of my friends did. So at school, big groups. Friday night, smaller groups, because different groups did different things. I played FIFA, and had friends at church groups and going swimming together and playing basketball all night and playing video games all night socially with 10 or 15 of us, but we weren't going out drinking and having sex, and that wasn't one of our values. Next question, number 4. Maybe you are single or married in a relationship. Talvez você está solteira ou casada ou saindo com alguém. Doesn't matter. Are you a human? Are you an adult? Okay. How did the pandemic affect your romantic life? Como? Jesus Christ. Como a pandemia afetou a sua vida romântica? How did the pandemic affect your romantic life? Number 5. Do you feel more connected to the virtual world or to real life? Se você fica ou sente mais conectada ao mundo virtual ou ao mundo real? Number 6, I think. If a young, sexless man asked you, you could be a man, talvez você é uma mulher, talvez você é um homem, talvez você não fica num relacionamento ou casado, talvez não. Mas, seja qualquer. If a young, single, and sexless man asked you for advice, counsel, on how to not be a single, sexless man. What advice would you give them? If it were a woman asking for the advice, what would you tell them? So, talvez você, se você fosse homem jovem e solteiro sem sexo, e ele perguntasse você para conselho como virar, como virar uma pessoa que é sexualmente ativa, ou talvez só quer ficar com alguém, o que conselho você daria para ele? E se fosse uma mulher? If it was a woman, if it were a woman, what would you tell them? So, if a young single sexless man asked me, "Hey man, I'm young, I'm single, I'm not Brad Pitt, but I think I'm a young man, and I'm not having sex. I'm not getting relationships with people, romantic or for fun. How can I change that? What Jimmy? And there's my name. What do I do? First, I would tell them, well, I'm an older single sexless man, so I don't think I could help you so much. Now, what would I tell a young single sexless man? I'd say be patient. Be patient, and know what do you want? Do you just want to have sex? Well, here's some strategies. If you just want to have sex, you need to be charming, kind. You need to not be so serious. And if you're on a date and someone is laughing, that's always good. You don't need to be funny, but you need to bring some brevity, brevidade. Não sei como se fala, mas you need to be light, and you need to work on yourself, right? If it's very obvious that you're just out looking for sex, talvez você pode encontrar mulher, que só quer isso também e que todas as pessoas no bar ou festa, ela vai sair com você ou pessoa mais desesperado para fazer sexo ou transar. Talvez, but it's not a good chance. So I would say you need to be patient and you need to focus on yourself. You need to have fun. If you're not having fun, then people are probably not going to have fun with you. So, what about a relationship? The same thing, basically. You need to work on yourself. Be someone, not someone important, not someone special. Just be someone. Like things, do things. You like an activity, go do it. Meet people while you're doing it. Say yes to things. Don't say no to things. Colocar seu mesmo num lugar diferente. Andar na rua no seu bairro ou num bairro interessante. You don't necessarily need to spend a lot of money, but you're going to have to spend some money. And if it were a woman, what would I say? I would say, be careful. You're young and sexless and single. Be careful. I wouldn't start with a man like this, would I? No, I wouldn't. But I tell a woman first, number one, be careful. You'll find a lot of men who want to have sex with you very quickly. So be careful. Next, I would probably say, do you want intimacy or do you want sex? If you want sex, just go to a party. Go somewhere. Be out in public in a place where young people who are your age are going. If you want intimacy, then the same as a man. Be someone. Do something. Not something important or special. Just do things that you like. Try to figure out what makes you have a good time. And people are attracted to those people, right? People are attracted. And physically, right, for a man or a woman, I would say be honest with yourself. Look in the mirror and be honest. And I don't mean be brutally honest, I just mean be honest. Um, if you feel like I need to lose weight, go lose some weight. That's doing something too. That's being someone. People are attracted to people who are trying to improve themselves. As pessoas são atraídas pelas pessoas que estão tentando, ao menos tentando melhorar seus mesmos. Até perfeição? Não, nunca. Mas em qualquer jeito, um dia para outro dia, tentando, trying to get better or be better. That is attractive. So, and that was the last question, actually. So, our final segment is new. Why does this matter to Brazil? And this is a different direction. This is not a this conclusion is not so much about the sex and the relationships. It's about what the implications. And this is a tough topic, what I'm about to say. Why does this matter to Brazilians and to Brazil? And I'm saying this, today is the 10th of April, 10 de abril, 2023. Last week, there were 2 school murders, multiple deaths, one with, I think both with knives, right? There was one a few months ago with a known neo-Nazi kid in the north of Brazil who brought a gun to school, a revolver, and killed people, and then went back fucking home. In the U.S., just today, I am not kidding you. This is the headline right now. Today is the 10th of April, 2023. We had a school shooting on the news about 4 days ago, and this is the head story in AP.com, APnews.com. 4 killed in shooting at downtown Louisville bank. Schools, banks, churches, people are getting shot in my country very frequently. And it's always men shooting, and they're always frustrated, confused, oftentimes misinformed, sadly deranged men. But I'm not going to say sick people. I'm going to say they're a little bit. They've gone down strange paths. So why does this matter to Brazil? Young, single, sexless men. Sexless, single, and frustrated young Brazilian men who may or may not also have financial difficulties. Maybe they don't. Maybe they got money. And or crime opportunities are the precursor for criminal activity. You don't need to spoil them. You don't need to be scared of them and give them anything they want. No, but you might want to try and understand why they are going through this trend. You might need to understand, why are there so many young, single, and sexless people? And the implications, I promise you, just look north. Look up. Just look up to the United States and you will see what happens. Suicides. Lots of men are committing suicide in the U.S. And if they have a gun, uma arma, bem mais fácil. A lot of men want to create pain in society because they're feeling pain because of the news, or because they believe things that are just wildly untrue, or because they have no support systems and they have bad information. Or maybe some men have money and they don't. I have money. Like society tells me I have money. I should also have a woman. I should have people waiting to have sex with me. Why do I not have that? Something is fucked up here. It's the woke progressista culture that's changing women to be against me. Obviously, that's all bullshit, but that's what you get. Men are the people who commit most crimes. Men are not necessarily the problem, but the way they experience their problems leads them to create other problems for other people. And if you're a woman, I don't need to tell you why young, single, sexless, frustrated men are a problem. You experience this problem every day society, we do need to try and understand why are men going through this trend. That is all for today's episode. I hope you enjoyed. And if you did or didn't, please leave a comment. Por favor, escreve, subscribe, deixa comentario, like, dislike, whatever. Thanks for listening to the English Language Learning Podcast, and come back